Hi, hello everyone. Today I'm gonna show another chassis from my collection, which is probably the prettiest car that I own, and it is a Fenix Racing Classique chassis. So let's have a look at the outside of it first. It's a really beautiful F1 car from Fenix. As you can see, the body goes all underneath the side like a tub, and it's in originally 3 parts. Mine is in 4 parts. I'll show you why. So there is the underneath here, then there is the nose here at the front that this comes sliding in, and then the top parts that includes the driver and normally the engine block. And so pop it out. You get these graphite parts sticking out when you put the body posts, and this slides into the nose here. So here you go. You see the inside is actually another part that's sticked in with the driver. I think it's really well designed, well thought out body, and makes this car really good looking. And so I'm gonna need a tool to remove that so I can show you the pod at the back, but in the meantime, let's take a look at the chassis. It is using F104 front end with Fenix Racing servo mount here. You see I'm using just a 7 kilo Team C generic servo for it. I'm running it on the right GR front and rear, and then on the electronic side I'm using a 60 amp censored ESC from Hobbywing, the quick run, and I am using a 17.5 turn motor at the back. And so the reason why I separated the motor from the body is just because I want to have more movement available, and when it's all in one piece, it's kind of restricting it a little bit. So that's what I did. And you can see the way the chassis is designed. It's basically, the pod is mounted on a T-plate. It's got 2 lateral springs, left and right. It's got a lateral damper tube, and it's got a damper tube on the middle here, and the spring is actually acted by the T-plate here. And so actually you can see the pod fairly well from here. It's got a reinforcement at the back, graphite reinforcement. I suppose people are running it on 21.5. I'm running it on 17.5. It's really good chassis design. Is very well balanced, because of course you can notice, because it's an old vintage F1, there is no wing at the back, so there is no downforce technically from the body. But the body design, the chassis design is really well balanced. I am not using the gear diff from Fenix. I'm using their ball diff, and it's all basically stock from the factory. Kimbrough servo saver in the front, and you see the big, that's what makes a lot of noise on the track I'm running, because it's a pretty bumpy track. And so that's basically the bumper in the front underneath the nose. I have a pretty big ride height, probably 4 to 5 mm ride height, because I'm running it on a pretty bumpy track. You can see it's scratching mostly at the front. And what to say about this? It's a really unique car. I really enjoy looking at it on the road. It's a pleasure to drive. It handles 17.5 really well. There is no class for running that car in where I am in Hong Kong, so it doesn't really matter to me if you're supposed to run it on 21 or 17. And it's just so enjoyable to see that car drive around, and it's a really good car. It's quick, it's reactive, it's very alive. And I'll show you what did I do before getting this car, because originally I didn't know if I could get this car into Hong Kong or not until I get in touch with the owner of Fenix. And so just before I put this car away, you see the differences when this is supposed to be one piece with the body, you wouldn't have that much flex on the sides. The axle would be banging on the body before you can have that much. And so here you go. I'll put it on the background and I'll show you the step that bring me to this car, which is over here. This is, it's a bit of a mess at the moment. It's got a lot of cables running everywhere, but before I could figure out how to get that car into Hong Kong, I've designed my own Classique F1 with a 3D printed body and a nice old English racing green painted on it. The rear pod is from a Free Racing F113, and then the chassis, it's my design from the front to the back. It's a very narrow plate. It's got a very long T-plate. It is running here. You can run a damper. It is actually, let me remove this upper plate. This is the parts that I unscrew in order to put the battery in. I'm running the same as this. I'm running super shorty lipos in this. So that's, the body is in many parts because it needs to be assembled around, and I want to have the flexibility. Even here it kind of articulates. There is a bit of foam in between the parts, so you see there is the damper here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put it with one hand and no tool, not really. So anyway, actually similar to the Fenix, no spring on the shock, just a damper, and the spring is acted on by the T-plates. The T-plate I have is much longer, and for the lateral dampening I'm just running, I don't know if you can see anything, but I'm squeezed a bit of foam, black foam in the middle with grease, and so that's what I have for the lateral dampening. Works okay. And then at the rear I 3D printed and designed an old V8 with the gearbox and the transfer box, and those. The reason why there is a cutoff here is for the cable. The other side is the exhaust is all the way. You can see the cylinder sticking out. And so that's pretty cool. It adds weight to the back, so the traction is good. You see I'm running a silver can on it. And then the front end is all my design. It's a graphite front and lower plate. And then you see F103 uprights with the little springs, and the body is, I don't know if you can see inside. I'll do a version when I remove the body so you can see the chassis, because I'm running this chassis as well with an old coupe body. I don't know if I have it. Yes, I have. So I'm running this chassis with this body as well, with the die cut at the back. So I'll remount it on this to do a video with it so you can see the chassis better. But yeah, that's what happened. Is I was looking at this originally, just getting the body from a French website, and it was never available. And then I just, it seems to me like the selling price was very expensive from Italy, which actually wasn't at the end. But just thinking about that, I designed my own car, and this car actually worked great. The 3D printed body, of course, doesn't enjoy crashing, so it breaks when it crashes, but I can just reprint. And the problem is that in order to have this flex and to be able to assemble it around the car, because it's basically part of the chassis, I had to make it in so many parts. So it's not great, but it looks good on the track. It looks good when you're driving it, you know, when it's all assembled. It's pretty cool. I don't have a driver in it at the moment. It doesn't compare in any way to the Fenix Racing. It's much, not slower, but it's not as responsive and as reactive as the Fenix car. But that was my step before getting the Classique from Fenix, and I think that's about it for those cars. I'll do another video on this one. I have some running video that I've made of the Fenix Racing that you can probably see either on the YouTube channel, or if you go to the my Facebook page, RC Hong Kong. What I've made a couple of videos because this car looks just so good. I had a camera in the front when you can see the driver while I'm driving the car. And yeah, I think I tried to help Fenix get in touch with some local distributors and stores in Hong Kong, but I don't know. The Hong Kong market is really strange. It didn't happen. It is for sale in Jet Hobby, I think. But I don't know. The Hong Kong market is really strange when everybody buys the same thing at the same time, and I guess it was not the time for them to buy a classic chassis. Maybe one day there'll be an article in a newspaper and everybody will get one, I hope, because I mean, I can't imagine how amazing it's gotta be to have a race of only this type of car on the track. And here you go. So this is my Fenix Racing Classic chassis, Classic F1, and hope you enjoyed, get some inspiration. Maybe if you're in Hong Kong you want to buy one, go to Jet Hobby and buy two, and then tell your friends to buy three, and then we can all have a wonderful classic race somewhere the day everything is unlocked. Probably May 7. Hopes, fingers crossed. I don't know how to cross my fingers. So everyone, be safe, and I'll see you soon with more cars. Have a good day, good night. Who cares? It's the internet. Bye bye.